What up, family? It's your boy Amaru, and TMG Entertainment is back with another live TV fight. 4 questions, 4 debates, 4 different categories, and these two gentlemen, yay, I don't have to point in directions. I can just do this. We'll be coming with some fire debates to these questions. But before we introduce them, let's go to our 2 judges who will be joining me today to judge this epic match. Birthday boy, Mr. Chris Diaz. Happy birthday. How you doing today,
Thank you.
sir?
I'm doing good. This is a fight that I've been looking forward to. Decretin and Pauling for some of my favorites that have been on TV fight, and I'm here to celebrate my birthday by having a fun judging match.
All right, cool. And not the birthday boy, but here anyway, Mr. Malcolm Goatley. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Just here to judge what could be very interesting.
Right, all right. And as I mentioned before, we have 2 gentlemen here ready to battle it out. I'm going to start in that direction. These freaking fingers, man. Jonathan, Mr. Peck, you ready to go today? Ready to get this done?
Yeah, I'm ready to get it done. I know Ethan right here by judging the matches with Ethan in it, so I know he's a very competitive competitor right here. Even some instances, he doesn't win those matches. I do know he's a very tough competitor, so I'm actually can't wait for this match right here to see what he got.
All right, and I also know this man is a very tough competitor as well, but I'm going to leave it at that. Ethan, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better that, I don't have to face you today. That's you put me on quite a losing streak, but no, it's good to get back into it. TV fights just offers, something a little different. All the different divisions do, and I love TV, so I'm ready to get back into it.
All right. So let's just get straight into it as usual. A quick rundown of the rules for each of your 4 questions. There will be a 90-second opener. And then there will be a 5-minute free-form debate. If at any point during those 5 minutes I feel like the 2 of you are talking a little bit too much over each other and we're going to need it, I will call a time out where 10 seconds will be run off the clock. So there's silence, there's calmness, there's enough silence so the judges can hear what's going on. So please make sure you're respectful to your opponents. Don't talk over them too much. And then also at the end, there will be a 60-second closing. You also have your 1 minute extension to use either at the beginning of your opening or at the beginning of your closing. With that, either gentlemen have any questions?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right, let's get it going. We are going to start round 1 in the category of Glee, which is Jonathan Peck's strength. And the question with that is, what is the best moment from Glee? Mr. Peck, as it is your strength, you, sir, will start us off as soon as you start talking.
For me, I picked this moment because not only is it a great moment of the show's history, but is also sort of great character growth and a great acting performance that both these respected actors played. I'm picking Kurt's coming out to his dad, season 1, episode 4, Preggers. And the reason why I picked that moment because we've seen throughout the beginning of that episode, Kurt's not only with the high school life and still, but he's trying to figure out sort of in a way try to prove his dad. And basically throughout the beginning of the episode, try to impress his dad by joining the football team right here. And even the end of that episode, it just kind of finally tells his dad, I'm gay. And the response of it to his father said, I know. And I got more details based on that, so that will be my choice right here.
Assuming you are conceding the rest of your time.
Oops, sorry.
Not a problem. All right, so the Raptor Master going with Kirk coming out. Best moment. Mr. Klein, your 90-second starts when you start talking.
So for me, admittedly, I am not a fan of the show Glee. It was just it just wasn't made for me. It's not really something that I enjoyed watching. Just wasn't my jam. But What I can say is the reason I picked this moment is because even for me, even not a fan of the show, when this question got asked, I knew what I was going to pick because I remember this happening in real life. I remember seeing the clips from this episode because it was such a big story, and I remember it actually leaving an impact on me, even as someone who was not engrossed in the show. And that is in season 5, when Rachel sings the song "Make You Feel My Love" as a tribute to the death of the character Finn, because the actor did pass away in real life. And to me, when you're talking about best, the peak of a show, it's so hard. I mean, obviously, it was a tragedy that nobody could plan for. His character was not going to be written out of the show. They had to do that because the actor died in real life. So on the fly, you have to come up with a way to appropriately pay tribute to the man, to the character, and do it with class. And to do that in the middle of a season, out of nowhere, to just leave it all out there, just tell all the actors. I mean, this was their real life friend that passed away too. There's going to be a lot of emotion. Rachel herself, not only in the show is she dating him, she was dating him in real life. And to put all of that emotion and passion into one song and leave that impact on me as not a fan of the show, that to me is the peak moment of Glee.
Time. All right, so we got Rachel singing in tribute to Finn and his death versus Kirk coming out. We will have the 5 minutes when you two gentlemen start talking. One.
All right. Okay, I'll just say this to get this out of the way. It is a great tribute. As a matter of fact, it's just really a great moment to do a tribute, not only the character of Finn, but the actor of Corey Monty right here. And I just feel like it's a great moment. And everything you said is actually correct, though. But that being said, I will say this, though. I don't think that was the peak of the show. The peak of the moment of the show before that right here happened 2 seasons before season 5 started. And even with that, though, even some people, they don't watch the show around that point, though. Making some people will agree that they kind of left off the show right here before that happened, though. That's the little defer on that one. It's a great moment, and I'm not personally gonna deny that one bit. But I just want to say, since the peak of the show, though, I was kind of will draw back on that right here, though, as my scene want to point that out because that was really a hard moment around that point. It aired on 2009 when LGBT characters right here never born to the limelight around that time though. And that when that moment came on, when Glee did that, it is really a revelation. Not only the scene of the show, but the scene afterwards though. And also, this is really a great acting performance right here. The actor who plays Kurt's father, Bert, right here, Michael Mount. Like, whoever thought that the guy who put the host of Guts right here brings a little emotional performance right here in that moment right here.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say just to that point in terms of groundbreaking or changing things up, it just in terms of the television sphere, Ellen came out on her show personally a decade earlier. So to say that LGBT community characters weren't really given that limelight up to that point, they had, and in a much, much bigger way. And I mean, you said yourself, the scene itself, him coming out saying, "I'm gay," and his father responding, "I know." I think just from a showrunner standpoint, there are a lot more gutsy decisions they could have made for that interaction instead of just, "I'm gay, I know, let's move on." There's a lot more emotional gravity they could put to that interaction. But they played it safe, and I'm not going to blame them for that because it's a very touchy subject to breach, but they did play it a little safe with that, wherein with my scene, it's so impossible to pay tribute to a person and a character in one shot with the actress who was dating him in the show and real life, and she's able to release that, and they use the perfect song, "Make You Feel My Love," to talk about their relationship in that way, both in real life and on the show. So it's not just we're going to sing a song and move on. It's a song that pushes the story forward while equally paying tribute to the passing of the man.
I'm just gonna say this right here. If you want to talk about the real life Corey Monty, though, yeah, it is really a great tribute. You're just talking about more of the real Corey Monty. We didn't talk about the character right here, and I'm not, like I said, not gonna deny that moment one bit though. what mine is, it really with my pick right here, it really shows you the character what he sort of been through, not only in the beginning of the show, why he's trying to release to his dad. So that moment right here, even when his father said, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm just going to support it. So that is really sort of what parents can do in the situation. It sort of reflects in real life, though. Some people have a bit this issue along with that. And yeah, it been Ellen coming out right here. Yeah, it happens some before that right here, but this one's kind of a little boosted up right here, make it for real right here, and brings a bit. And I will say with yours right here, yours is, like I said, great moment and just really a tearful moment. But I think if you just talk me in, sorry, something stuck in my throat. Sorry. It just really is an emotional moment. Not gonna deny that one bit, but it brings. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a little harder right now, but at the same time, it just really brings it together, though.
I mean, I would say the greatest thing about TV is when it does bring that emotion. And like I said, to me, the scene of that you picked with him coming out, it is a great message. It is absolutely something that should be put in the limelight, but it had been done before and it had been done better. And as you also admitted, the more emotion that they brought was with my scene because they were able to connect with everybody in one shot because of the loss they all experienced together.
Time. All right. Getting into it. We're going to go straight into our closing arguments. So as Jonathan went first, Ethan, you are now going to give your closing argument. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Again, so to me, the reason I picked this scene was not because I was a fan of the show and watched every episode and instantly remembered the best moment to me was this. The reason I picked it was because as not a fan of the show, this moment still stuck out to me all these years later because as someone who had seen most of the first season and decided to move on, I remembered hearing the story of the passing of the actor, and then I even said, I want to see how they do this. And I remember watching that and being truly moved because these people were able to connect with me as not a fan of the show just by the emotion that they were bringing to their relationship to both the human actor and the character himself. They were able to do that by choosing the perfect song for his real life girlfriend and the girlfriend of the show to explain the emotion that she was going through, to try to reach out one last time to this man that she loved, who she could not be with anymore. And as someone who did not have a tie to the show, for that to hit me in that way, how can there be a better moment if it's reaching people who aren't fans?
All right. Mr. Klein giving his closing argument. Can Jonathan come back? Close it out for us, sir. Your minute starts when you start talking.
I will say this with yours. You want to talk about best musical moment? This might be the greatest one. And I'm not going to deny that one bit. That is a great musical moment and a great tribute to the character and Clemente. And with mine, though, we talk about best moment. And I think my choice really is the best moment of the show because it really kind of hits home with people who not technically gay themselves, but more at least relate to on that moment. Not only being gay, but also if you're a parent and you had those situations. That's the reason my choice is sort of the best moment of the show because it brings more relatable elements to it and really sort of emotional when it brings it. So I think that's the reason my choice is the best moment of the show right here. And I'm gonna concede.
All right. Great debate for this first round, gentlemen. We are gonna go. Judges, when you are ready and you have your answer down, give me a thumbs up, please. 1, got 2, got 3. All right. So, birthday boy, we are going to start with you, Mr. Diaz. Who did you choose to win this round?
This is tough. I kind of had to give my point to Ethan just because he built up more argument. It's tough. Jonathan, yeah, hit him on more depth of a better moment in the episode, like the parent conversation scene of the season love tribute in the beginning. I think you would have wanted it. But you start to lose your argument during the debate round, and Ethan I hit you back and back. It's tough because I love your thing a lot, but I kind of had to give my point to Ethan.
All right, that is 1 to Ethan. I'm going to go over to Mr. Godilay. Malcolm, which way did you go for this debate?
Yeah, this was tough, but I mean, in my opinion, both of you picked the wrong moment. There's better moments in both of these put together, but that aside, my point is going to Ethan. I think he summed up his moment really well. Nothing against Jonathan. He didn't manage to knock Ethan's moment enough. I mean, he did go that there was better moments in the episode, but there wasn't really a lot of knockback on Ethan's moment. He did a lot of defending on his own thing and just bouncing off what Ethan was throwing at him. So, yeah.
All right. So that gives the first official point to the electric Ethan Klein. Not that it matters because the point's already given away, but I also would have went with Ethan. I also felt like he just was able to give reasons not only for why his moment was better, but countered a lot of what Jonathan said in terms of Ellen coming out a decade later. They were playing it a bit safe. And Jonathan tried to come back saying that they were talking about the real life Corey Monteith and not the character, but Ethan countered that really well in terms of saying that it was real life, but it also pushed the story forward. So I also would have went with Ethan, but it is early in this debate. So let's move on to debate question 2 in Ethan strength category of From Dusk Till Dawn. And the question is, who gives the best performance in From Dusk Till Dawn? Not the movie, apparently. Anyway, Ethan, this is your strength, so you will start us off.
No, not the movie.
No, not the movie. You will start us off during this round. You have 90 seconds when you start talking.
So for me, who gives the best performance in From Dusk Till Dawn? It is bar none, hands down, not even a question, is Zane Holtz. He plays Richard Gecko, who, if you've seen the original movie From Dusk Till Dawn, he's playing Quentin Tarantino's character. Now, the reason that this is important is because essentially the first season of this TV show is a remake of the movie itself, and then they expand on the story in the second and then the final season. So in the first season, he does have to basically give his impression of the character that Quentin Tarantino built up. And while he does a great job of that, he also has to add nuance to it because there is going to be more story beyond just what they did in the movie. So while he does play the kind of wild, crazy brother, he does have to add little things to it. And he adds his own things. He does make it his own character when he is strapped into the story that they created in the film. And that allows his character to grow as they move out of that. He starts as crazy as the little brother, but then throughout 3 seasons, you actually see him grow into a leader, into his own man, into, in some ways, the bigger brother, and out of just the stereotypical, ooh, I'm a psycho. No, he has some inner turmoil. He has some problems inside of him that he is working throughout the entirety of this show. That makes it the best performance because nobody, not even close, has to go through the kind of arc and development that he is required to go through.
Guessing you're conceding your time there.
Yeah.
All
I don't know
right,
how
all
late
right.
I am, but yeah, I'm conceding.
All right. So Ethan went with Tarantino's character from the movie. First name Gecko, something Gecko.
Richie
Thanks,
Gecko.
sir. Richie Gecko. And now moving over to the Raptor Master himself, Jonathan. When your time starts, when you start talking.
My choice is a brand new character from the TV series, and I had to watch it like just a few days ago right here because for the person who hadn't watched the television show, even the stuff I saw right here, I'm going to pick this character, arguably the main villain of the series itself. I'm going to pick Carlos, played by Roman. Sorry, I butchered his last name. I'm sorry. Basically, Fez from that 70s show. The character of Carlos itself is really the great main bad of the show, and the couple of scenes that I watch, he is basically a calm guy, but inside lies a greedy man who wants to rise up to be rich and shows a very deep horrible inside right here. He's over 5,000 years old, 500 years old, and he brings like a coldness right here. And it's based on the performance that Wilma Fatimea did in that show. And it's a little so surprising because this is basically Fez from that 70s show right here. And doing it to this character like that, that's a little more surprising of the performance itself, though. So I got more reasons, more details on it. So that will be my choice. And I can see my time.
All right. So we're going with the main villain, Carlos, versus Richie Gecko. Fez versus Quentin Tarantino. Let's debate, gentlemen. 5 minutes from somebody starts talking.
So here's the thing. From the first moment that Carlos walks on screen, he's a con man. He's not happy about the fact that he's been underutilized in the gang that he is a part of for the entire time that he's been a part of it, and he stays that way until just the beginning of the third season when he is written out of the show, which to me says that he clearly does not give that great of a performance because the showrunners themselves felt that they could move the show forward without his character entirely. Not kind of appearing here and there. No, he is gone for a majority of the third season. He comes back in at the very end for a little cameo. There's no character development. He is the same person from scene 1 to scene 100. He does not change, whereas Zane Holtz and Richie Gecko has to change because they can't just recycle and reuse the film. They have to create their own story. They have to create their own characters. He takes something that was created and morphs it into his own thing, which is so much more challenging than, hey, you need to be a stock bad guy, so we have a bad guy. He has to take a property, do it a good service, do it an honor, and then morph it into his own thing so that they can move forward. And that is such a better acting job than just being a run-of-the-mill villain.
The thing with yours with Richie Gecko, though, let's be honest to compare it to Quentin Tarantino's performance in it between yours. I bet every actor is going to do better than Quentin Tarantino's performance in that movie. And let's be honest with there, he didn't do like a very good job right here, even though it's not that much, though. So, and even you take some new stuff out of it, he's basically doing the imitating like with Quentin Tarantino's character. The beady eyes and stuff, the glasses, the shoe, and based on his haircut right here. If you take some new stuff of it out of it, though, he's basically playing the same character as Quentin Tarantino, and you're trying to emulate in some instances. But mine's, though, if mine's a brand new character, it brings like basically like little mythicalness right here, though, because he was a conquistador from a temple known as the Twister, and we need someone to play that role with well, though. Yeah, he plays the character from scene 1, though, but he plays it so sinisterly right here, though. That is more surprising the performance throughout this show, though. Every time he shows up, you can feel some of his presence, even though he's not there. At least you feel his presence when he was on screen, though. Maybe because he could be sometimes very little charming. Sometimes he'll be really become a monster the next, though. And that's really the reason how horrible of a character it is, and that's judged by the performance that he does. And yours, though, I think, yeah, it was a very trying thing right here. It's basically sort of a killer right here, though. So.
I want to touch on that comment you made about Quentin Tarantino's performance because actually across the board, From Dusk Till Dawn is the most screen time he has, and it's actually the most effort he put into an acting performance, and it was one of his own creations, and he is a beloved story creator. So when I say that you have to do the character and the story as service, there is a service to be done because people do love the original movie. It is a cult classic for what that's worth. And he doesn't actually play the same character because the character in From Dusk Till Dawn is a very basic, he is insane, he wants to kill people. Whereas in the show, again, they have to do more than that because you have to have some likability to the main characters if you're going to watch it for 3 seasons. He's being poisoned by these supernatural elements that you claim that Carlos brings into it. And he has to show that. He has to show the fight of, I am being driven insane. I'm not incoherently insane. I'm being driven insane by these things around me. And that requires another level than just beating. You have to show the humanity inside of you that you're fighting with, and he does that. Again, the thing with Carlos, sinister is the last word I would use to him. He's always a step behind everyone. Why? Because nobody wants him around. He's a forgotten part of this gang. Yeah, he tries to do some things, but he always fails when he does those things. And the way that it is portrayed by the actor is what is the most basic look I can have? What is the easiest, simplest thing that any bad guy in this situation would do? And I'm going to run with that. And to his credit, that's all they ever asked him to do, which is why his character was written out of the show in the final leg in the final season when things got the most intense, because they didn't need that anymore.
Yeah, and I will counter on one part you said, though, is about I didn't talk rapidly about the film itself, though. I'm just talking about people making fun of Tarantino's performance throughout the movie, though. What I mean by that is basically the impression. If you replace another actor with your performer on that show, though, I bet some actors could play in those parts, though. So when I said about that, it was just maybe interchangeable points. What mine's, though, is he brings a light, bring a little sinister right over here, and brings a light to a little sinister, judged by his eyes, and a great posture when he shows up, though. So that's the reason why he gives the best performance of the show, though, and brings a little depth to it.
Time. All right, gentlemen. All right. Getting straight into it. So, Jonathan, it is your time to do your closing argument. You have 60 seconds to close up everything when you start talking.
Like I said earlier, though, the actor who played Richard Gere on the TV show, he did a very good job on the show, though. But he can play by any other actor, though. Like, let's be honest right here. Like, compared to the Tarantino character, it's sort of not so much right here, though. He did a very good job on it, though. What mine's, though, is a brand new character. He brings like a brand new elements to the show, and he brings it like I mentioned earlier, a calm demeanor person. But inside, he is a green man, wants to step up, be one step ahead of people, and he was showing it the serious anger, temperamental side of it right here. Brings the anger, the coldness, the ruthlessness of what he does. So that's the reason he gives the best performance of the show, though, because he really brings like the cold villainy of it right here when he interact with the two brothers, and really brings like a darkness to it. And I can see my time.
All right. Wrapping that up, conceding your time, leaving precious seconds, but apparently seconds you feel like you don't need. So let's move this on to Mr. Klein. You have 1 minute to close up.
You made a comment that people to this day keep making fun of the performance that Quentin Tarantino made. I would argue that meant that there was a taller hill to climb for Zane Holtz. Why? Because he was given a character that people maybe didn't respect, in your opinion, and what he did with his performance was not only make it his own, but do such a good job that the writers of the show changed the story in seasons 2 and 3 so that he was the central figure. He has the most screen time of anyone in those final 2 seasons. Why? Because he brought it every single day on set and gave a performance that was nuanced, that had heart, that had different levels that people could connect to in a way that people never thought imaginable because the character he was playing. And the one thing that you never had anything against was, again, those writers who gave Zane Holtz all that screen time looked at Carlos's character and said, we don't need you anymore, and wrote him entirely out of the show in season 3. I'll concede the rest of my time.
All right. Great second round there, gentlemen. Judges, when you are ready, give me your thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready to go. All right. So this time I am going to start off with Malcolm. Malcolm, let me know who you're going with and why.
Yeah, this was a tough one because I didn't really know which way I would swing, because throughout the main argument I was like, oh, that's a good point. Oh, that's even better point. That's another good point. It wasn't until the closing arguments in which it kind of cemented it for me. And I'm going to Ethan again for this one, just because I think from what he said in the end about Zay being so good that he became a central figure in later seasons, to me, that I think there's a big haymaker that to throw in there, and I think that's why I'm giving him the point.
All right. First point goes to Ethan. I will go next. As I mentioned kind of earlier, I didn't even realize there was a television show for the show. So good to know. So I'm going in completely blind. Jonathan, I really liked how you had mentioned that this was really a surprising role for Wilmer Valderrama going from Fez to this and trying to utilize the fact that any actor could go in and play Tarantino's role. It's really easy to go in. You have that coldness, you have that sinisterness, and that Gecko can be played by any character. But for me, I think Ethan hit it on the head when he said it's a harder hill to climb, a higher hill to climb when that happens. And I think my point also goes to Ethan because the biggest thing for me was he talked about how everything that Valderrama brought in with Supernatural made Gecko more likable. So not only did he say why his character was better, but how using your character made him a better character on top of everything that Malcolm said. So I'm also going with Ethan. So with that is now a 2-0 lead for Ethan. Chris, even though it does not matter at the moment, who would you have given your points?
Yeah, Ethan nailed the nail into the coffin when he brought up that Jonathan character would went out of the show in season 3, and Jonathan didn't hit back much on the argument Ethan put against him. Ethan win the point easily.
All right. Let me remind both competitors you do have that 1 minute extension if you need it, but now we are going into a do or die round for Jonathan, and we're now out of strengths. We are going straight into your straight question. Nobody's strengths, but we are going to start with Jonathan. Jonathan opening again for this question. Who are the worst TV parents? So question 3, who are the worst TV parents? Jonathan, you will be starting us out this round. Again, remember, do or die for you. Your 90 seconds start when you start talking.
If you think Ethan's choice might be the worst one, mine is sort of the whole my beer meme of my choices of the worst TV parents. As soon as I can say the name right here, and I will tell you why. And I don't need to get more in detail to this, so I'll just say this. Peter and Lois Griffith from Family Guy. The reason I said that because it's someone who watches Family Guy, even though I laugh some instances right here, and even someone who enjoys it and laughs about the show, you realize they're really one of the most horrible, worst people to ever raise their kids, and even god-awful human beings in general. So mine, I have a little bit more right here. I'm just going to list some prime examples on this right here. So here are some details from Peter's, though. Drunken and disorderly conduct, rivalry, break-in and entry, couple of instances, saved millions of dollars of property damage, mainly is the chicken fight, animal abuse, child abuse, regular abuse to his friends, and even shot one of them in the ear and the eye at one point, and also murder. Same thing with Lois. Mega with Meg's boyfriend right here, gambled the entire family, house and car, attempted to be a horrible mayor, and also dispatched a jaywalking, with some instances she might kill someone already after pretending to kill Chris's imaginary friend, and also tried an attempt to seduce a barely legal Justin Bieber along with it. So the reason my choice is Peter and Lois.
All right. So hold my beer. Jonathan going with Peter and Lois Griffin. Ethan, your counter, sir, when you start talking.
So my counter is this. As Jonathan listed off all of those reasons, we were all laughing because we watched that show and we laugh at it. It is a comedy. It is outlandish. It is meant to be that way. My show hits home because of the reality of the situation. That is why Walter and Skylar White are the worst parents any child could ever have. He is a drug kingpin who only cares about himself. Number one, that's it. He doesn't care about his children, either one of them. And in the midst of that, you would think, oh, Skylar White is the innocent wife who stands by and will stop and protect her family. No. As soon as she realizes the power and the ability that Walter has gained all she does is spend her time trying to get that power as well. These are two people who only care about themselves and about how much they can build themselves up. Their children are left to the wayside emotionally and physically. All Walter does is put himself in situations that could someday end up getting his family killed. What's the worst parent you could have? One that physically is not present, but their actions could lead to you dying. Walter and Skylar White are the worst parents in TV history, and I'll concede the rest of my time.
All right. Maybe two of the best television shows in their respective genres. We got Peter and Lois Griffin going against Walter and Skylar White. Let's debate, fellas, once somebody starts talking.
All right. You mentioned things. I agree. Walter's a drug kingpin, all that stuff. Yeah, Skylar might be a bitch, but that's it. Yeah. Walter, yeah, he's a drug dealer. And yes, I would say at the end, though, he doesn't care about his family at the end, though. But at the beginning, at least, he was trying to make the money support his family at least, though. Yeah, and it's not very friendly tactics. I would just agree with you, do. With mine's, though, I just pointed out everything. I'm going to show you more extent of what I pointed out, though. She basically, like I mentioned earlier with Lois, though, tried to make out with Meg's boyfriend right here, underage, and even I mentioned early on, though, tried to seduce an underage Justin Bieber along with it. Both also drug abuse, murder, disorderly conduct of it, and basically abused their kids. Lois nearly killed, around her watch, didn't suspect Studi was hurt along with it. Even all the stuff went down. They both constantly assaulting Chris and Meg and Brian, just every people around them. They're basically the most disgusting, degenerate people you ever met, though. Yeah, at first you think it's funny, but afterwards, the more you think about it, it's like, that would be a god-awful person even to help you do it right here. At least with Walter and Skylar, though, at least, at the very beginning, at least, Walter trying to make sure the money for his family here. Yeah, Skylar might be a bit of a bitch, but even some instances, at least he's trying.
By Walter's own admission in the show, it was always for myself. He literally says that. So even though he lies to himself and says, oh, I'm going to make this money cooking meth for my family, he admits by the end of it that all he's ever been is an underachiever, and he wanted to feel some power. He did not have his family's best interest in mind, especially his children's. And then even at the end, you admit how bad it is at the end. It's actually even worse, because the one time he actually sacrifices anything for someone else, it's not his own kid. It's for Jesse, and he dies, leaving his kid without a father and leaving his kid with a woman who he spends his entire existence throughout the show trying to prove that she's a bad mother. But in his mind, he's willing to go die for Jesse and leave his children with this woman who he grew to have disdain for because of how bad of a parent she was as well. And your claim that, oh, the longer you watch Family Guy, you say, well, they are terrible parents, this is kind of unsettling. If people found Family Guy unsettling, it still wouldn't be going as strong as it is. How many seasons? 15 years later, people don't watch that show and go, yeah, this is kind of making me feel bad. They laugh and they giggle. Why? Because it's a cartoon. Because it doesn't have the emotional resonance that a show like Breaking Bad has. You watch it and you don't care because they don't give you those emotional moments to make you think that this family should be together. In Breaking Bad, that should be a middle America family with a guy going through something, and it's, at the end of the day, it's a selfish person.
Yeah, well, the thing about that is, like, you mentioned, like, oh, mine's a cartoon that everyone must like. Well, I watch cartoons and basically some real issues right here, though. And also with yours, though, basically what I'm thinking is the people around them and the dire consequences. And the consequences that Peter and Lois do around their kids. Like I mentioned with Chris, Stewie, and Meg, particularly Meg and Joan. Peter farts in her face constantly on that pro show. Lois barely cares what Meg thinks along with it. And even with Chris, though, he's got licked by the parents by Peter and Lois to pretend that he's ice cream. That's a disgusting, horrible fact that you might think of right here, though. At least with Walt and Skylar, though, yeah, maybe at the end he's very contemplative, but that's in the middle of his progression right here before he doesn't care about his family, at least, though. With mine, though, it just really just property damage, the people around him, animal abuse with not only Brian, but Peter just basically murders Quagmire's cat right here, just skins them to the deep. I think it's going to be cut very easy. Basically murders right out the bat, though. Murders is not the best person around you. It basically shows you drug abuse, pedophilia, and basically death and murder. Just really, if you combine the people, that will be a horrible people to have as your parents. That's the reason why I picked them, because it just brings everything I point out in my arguments, in my facts about why they're terrible parents doing around with it.
I'm good. I'll save it for my closing.
And we got time. All right. So, nice, good, great debate. Nice use of that time. So, as Jonathan started us off, Ethan, you will start off with our closing. You have 1 minute to give us why Walter and Skyler are the worst parents in TV.
Jonathan mentioned something critical, and that is consequences. You listed all of those terrible things that Peter and Lois did, and the consequence at the end of every episode is that they are still together as a family. The consequences of Walter and Skyler's actions are the fact that Walter dies because of how terrible of a person he is, and those kids are stuck with Skyler, who everyone knows is a bad parent. That's real consequences. There are no consequences. There are no stakes to the actions of Peter and Lois. And let's talk about the law enforcement people in their lives real quick. One of Peter's best friends is a cop who clearly has passion for his job, never goes after them for what they do. The character they display is not someone who would sweep something under the rug. He never attacks Peter and Lois for their actions. Whereas Hank makes it his life's mission to take down Heisenberg. And when he finds out is Walter, he doesn't flinch. He goes right after him and tries to put him down. And it ends up costing him his life. Why? Because Walter is a terrible person, and his actions, like you said, have consequences.
All right. Jonathan, you have your closing. 1 minute when you start talking.
I'll use my 1 minute extension.
2 minutes when you start talking.
All right, you pointed out, yeah, he has his best friend with Joe and right here, and then Hank puts it up right here. Well, at least mainly the action you're talking about is mainly Walter's and not very much of Skyler. Yes, she might be a bit of a bitch, but at least it's tolerable. With mine, though, even when you bring up with Joe right here, even with Joe, though, he even keeps hurting Joe because he's in a wheelchair. He cannot do it even when he wants to. With mine, it just really, let me point out all the things I just mentioned right off the bat. Basically, even tried take out his kids, all of it right here. He basically regularly abuses Quagmire, Cleveland, and Joe. Property damage to one of their houses in some instances. Cats with Quagmires, though, it just really is a robbery. Sorry, not my words. Cause even robberies. Even one point, he had to dress up as a pirate to rob Ward, a convenience store clerk. Robs them right here, though. It just really just a horrible person all the way through. Even with Lois, basically she was basically by the judge, everybody's like, yeah, I'll be fine with it. I was like, I'm not gonna be around a person with that. That's the reason both of them are terrible people, are parents. They're really god awful. They really don't care mostly about their kids. Even when they try to attempt care, it just shrugs them under the rug afterwards, though. Even if you're trying to have heartfelt one moment and say, yeah, whatever. Mine is really the worst, though. Everything I just said, drug conduct, abuse at all kinds of poor, Ella into it, underage driving, terrible leadership with both accounts right here, really gamble away the money away. Yeah, it might argue it's a cartoon, but some instances cartoons have a little bit boundaries at some point, so at least it's kind of like, whoa, this is really get too much. That's the reason Peter and Laura are legit the worst people cast as parents right here, though. And a lot of people wouldn't have them parents. It's like, no, you don't. They're really god awful people.
Time, right? The end of your time limit, sir. Chris, Malcolm, let me know when you have your judgment ready. All right, so I am going to give my judgment first on this one. This so far has been the closest battle for me. I really really like how Peck, you just started off listing every reason why they're bad. And your counter about how at the beginning Walter was trying to be a good parent was a really good one. And the fact that you said cartoons face real issues and have dire consequences around those kids, it makes you think, wait a second, just because even if it's a cartoon, it's a lot to deal with. Ethan, from Jump, you talked about how it's reality, how not only is it Skylar, who's the drug dealer, sorry, Walter, who's the drug dealer, but Skylar, who's the wife, who both of them end up wanting to have power, and and their consequences just left the kids there with nobody, while the Griffins every week came back to be able to do something different. In the end, Jonathan, I really wish you would have mentioned something about how, because it's a cartoon, you can't take the reset and everything too seriously. I was waiting for that counter, but I think Ethan was able to grab you on that. And then when he said that Walter sacrificed his own life for Jesse and not his kids, I didn't hear anything coming back from that. So I think that's what really got you down there. So for me, I'm giving my points to Ethan. Then let's move over back over to Chris. Chris, who are you giving your point to?
Okay, I go in the opposite. I think Jonathan won this, even though I would have chose Timmy Turner parents, but that my choice there. But yeah, Jonathan got hit on everything wrong with Peter Lewis, with everything from the kid to everything else. Jonathan, I wish you would have hit him a little bit with him after he kidnapped the kid in the last season. He gave the kid back to the fire station that he did a selfless act rather than take the kid with him. He decided to give a better life. But I think like you gave more example, and I think that really came down to the example of why Lauren Griffin and Peter were parents. I think Ethan, you had hit back from the beginning of Breaking Bad more. And like Skylar's suicidal and a bunch of other stuff, maybe. But I think Jonathan won for me the point in the end.
All right, so Jonathan with a little bit of life there. It is now 1-1 of this round. Malcolm, it is up to you. Are we moving on to question 4, or do we have a knockout?
Yeah, this is one that was tough because they both argued well. I'm leaning towards Ethan on this because the Jonathan brought up at the start about Walter doing all this for his family, but then Ethan countered it very correctly, going, "Yeah, but then later on in the season, he admitted that he lied about it. It was all for himself." And I mean, Jonathan, you did list a lot of stuff about why they're terrible parents, but there's also a lot of stuff. Then it kind of changed somewhere in there. Then you start talking about how they're terrible people, as opposed to parents. So that kind of you went all over the place there. But yeah, my point's going to Ethan on this.
And your winner with a 3-0 knockout, the electric Ethan Klein. Great debate, gentlemen. This was a fun one to judge, a fun one to host. Let's start it off with our winner today. Ethan, how are you feeling about this match?
I mean, it feels good. Like I said, I was just excited to get back to it. I'd been on a little bit of a cold streak, thanks to one of the people in here. And no, I mean, it's good to get back at it. I mean, it's just fun. There were fun topics. It was fun stuff. I mean, I was even looking forward to talking about the last question too. There's always great questions, and it's just a good time. Right.
All right. So you are with this win, you are going to face the winner of the debate between Mr. Ryan Payne and the 577th favorite dad in these fan leagues, Papa West. Any preference on who you would like to face, or anything either way on either of those possible competitors?
No, I mean, I've interacted with Ryan a couple times. I know just by the way that he judges that he's very meticulous in how he studies. So he will bring it, and obviously Papa West, helps run late TV fights. So obviously he is engrossed in it and knows what he's doing. So either guy will be a huge challenge, and I'll just look forward to it.
Right, all right, and let's move over to our unfortunate second place finisher today. Jonathan, you gave up you gave a hell of a fight for these rounds, man. How are you feeling?
Exhausted and a bit burnout. I just want to say congratulations on Ethan, though. You put some really great arguments and great choices right here. Even round number one is like, as soon as you got it, I was like, how am I going to argue this one right here? So I just feel like you put up a great battle, and I just want to say good luck to you to play either Ryan or Jacob. So I just want to say good luck. And for me,
I was just gonna, it's not fun if the person you're playing against doesn't also bring it. So that's a huge part. So just thanks for coming ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. And basically, I was just wanting to get to round number 4, though. I felt like that part could have been more interesting. And also, I just want to say congratulations to you. And also, I did very well, though. And I might, maybe some instances, might want to take a break from TV fights after this. So just want to give a little breather for the, maybe couple weeks, though. So just try to relax my mind a bit, all that stuff. Just trying to get my psyche in check. I think it was a great fight.
I think we all understand that burnout. I don't know whether or not Subrath or Jacob want this out there, but all I know is if neither of you had picked X-Men for that fourth question, I would have shut this stream down immediately. But anyway, let's go over to our judges real quick. Their final thoughts. Mr. Diaz, how was judging this match on your birthday, sir?
This was a fun match. The last question was definitely hard because, yeah, they are pretty bad parents, but this is a fun match. Ethan and Jonathan did a great job. This was tough to judge. It's just probably one of my favorite matches to judge in a while.
Right, and Malcolm, how about you, sir?
Yeah, it was a fun match to judge, and both players brought it, and just because, as I always say, it's like the art of a great debater is you're able to take what the other person's throwing and then turn it around on them. So they both did that, and they're both great debaters, and like see maybe more of them in the future. So.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely see more of them in the future. Jonathan when he's ready to get back, and Ethan when he figures out who he's facing next. So from everybody here at TMG, for Jonathan Peck, Ethan Klein, birthday boy Chris Diaz, Malcolm Godelay, and for me, your boy Amadou Moses, aka Ruber, aka Amaru, aka however you want to pronounce my name. We will see y'all on the next one. Peace.